In the previous module, we talked about pendulums as energetic structures that pull attention and emotion. Now we're going to look at something more subtle and more personal. Why pendulums become powerful in the first place, and why some situations seem to drain you far more than others. The key concept here is excess importance. In reality transurfing, excess importance is what happens when something becomes too significant internally. Not necessarily important in a practical sense, but emotionally charged. When excess importance appears, balance is lost. And whenever balance is lost, forces arise to restore it. Zealand calls these balancing forces. They are not good or bad, they are corrective. Their role is simple: to neutralize imbalance. This is one of the ideas in the book that often surprises people. When you strongly want something or strongly fear something, you create excess importance, and that excess importance does not attract what you want. It creates resistance. This is why people often experience obstacles right where they care the most. Not because reality is pushing them, but because balance has been disturbed. Here's a familiar example. Someone desperately wants a relationship to work. They overthink, they read into every message, they try to control outcomes, they lose their natural state. What happens next is almost predictable. Tensions increase, misunderstandings grow. The very thing they want begins to slip away.
Excess importance has activated balancing forces.
The same thing happens with money, health, status, and identity. When something becomes too important, you stop moving naturally. You begin forcing. Forcing creates friction. Pendulums feed directly on this dynamic. They thrive where excess importance exists. Because emotional charge is high. Because identity feels at stake. Because outcomes feel urgent. This is why pendulums are often strongest around areas of our life that matter most: work, relationships, beliefs, spiritual identity. The pendulum doesn't create the importance, it exploits it. This is a critical distinction. Most people try to weaken pendulums by changing their external situation. Reality transurfing points inward instead. Reduce excess importance, and the pendulum weakens naturally. Balance returns, and with it, freedom of choice. This is why neutrality is emphasized so strongly in transurfing. Neutrality is not indifference, it's inner equilibrium. It's the ability to remain engaged without emotional overinvestment. When neutrality is present, balancing forces have nothing to correct, and pendulums lose their leverage. This is explored more deeply in the chapters of the book that deal with importance and balancing forces. Zealand explains that reality responds most smoothly when you stop demanding outcomes. Not because you stop caring, but because you stop clinging. This is one of the hardest ideas to integrate. People worry that letting go of importance means giving up. In practice, it's the opposite. When importance drops, clarity increases, timing improves, opportunities appear without strain. This is not mystical thinking, it's mechanics. You're no longer fighting reality, you're moving with it. And as you go through your day, notice where excess importance shows up. Notice where you feel pressure to perform, to prove, to secure an outcome. Notice how your body responds. Tension is a signal, not that something is wrong, but that balance has been lost. For now, you don't need to eliminate importance, just see it. Awareness alone begins to soften its grip. And as importance relaxes, something else becomes possible. A different relationship with life. Less struggle, more flow. That flow leads us directly into the next principle. When balance is restored, reality begins to cooperate. That cooperation is what reality transurfing calls the wave of fortune. When you're ready, move on to the next module.